Life is unpredictable, full of challenges and often overwhelming. But what if you could face every obstacle with unwavering strength and clarity? What if no setback could shake your inner peace or cloud your judgment? This is the promise of Stoicism, a philosophy that has guided some of history's greatest minds, from Marcus Aurelius and Epictetus to modern-day thinkers. At its core, Stoicism is not about detaching from life, but engaging with it fully, armed with principles that allow you to thrive no matter what comes your way. It's a practical toolkit for mastering your emotions, making wise decisions, and turning adversity into advantage. In essence, Stoicism teaches you how to become invincible, not in the sense of avoiding pain or struggle, but in becoming unshakable in the face of them. In this guide, we'll uncover 10 principles of Stoicism that, when internalized, will transform how you approach life's trials. These aren't abstract ideas. They're actionable insights designed to empower you in your daily life. Whether you're dealing with personal setbacks, professional stress, or existential doubts, these principles will act as your anchor, helping you stay composed, focused, and resilient. Before we dive in, let's set the stage. Stoicism is not about suppressing emotions or denying pleasure. Instead, it's about living in harmony with nature, accepting what is outside of your control, and striving for excellence in character. It's a philosophy of empowerment that teaches you how to focus on what truly matters and discard the noise. As we journey through these 10 principles, keep this question in mind. What would my life look like if I mastered these ideas? The answer lies not just in understanding the principles, but in applying them consistently. True Stoic mastery comes from practice. So let this be your first step toward building a life of unshakable purpose, peace, and strength. Let's begin. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm, the wind howling and rain lashing against you. No matter how hard you try, you cannot stop the storm or change its course. You have two options: exhaust yourself, fighting a force you cannot control, or focus on what you can do. Find shelter, secure your footing, and endure with grace. This is the essence of the first principle of Stoicism. Focus on what is within your control and let go of everything else. At the heart of this idea lies the dichotomy of control, a concept introduced by the Stoic philosopher Epictetus. He teaches us that there are two categories in life: the things we can influence and the things we cannot. Your thoughts, actions, choices, and mindset fall firmly within the first category. They are entirely up to you. On the other hand, external events, other people's opinions, or the outcomes of your efforts belong to the second category. The Stoics remind us that worrying about things outside our control is not only futile, but also a recipe for frustration, anxiety, and unhappiness. Letting go of what you can't control is not about giving up or being indifferent. It's about channeling your energy into what truly matters: your own actions and attitudes. When you stop trying to control the uncontrollable, you free yourself from unnecessary burdens and focus your attention where it can make a difference. This clarity of focus is a superpower that enables you to face challenges with calm and resilience. Consider a real-life example, a job interview. You can prepare thoroughly, dress appropriately, and present yourself with confidence. These are within your control. But the outcome, whether you get the job or not, depends on factors beyond your reach, such as the interviewer's preferences or the qualifications of other candidates. If you obsess over the result, you waste valuable mental energy. Instead, the Stoic way is to focus on doing your best and accepting the outcome, whatever it may be, as it unfolds. This principle applies to every aspect of life, from relationships to health, from finances to world events. You cannot control how someone else feels about you, but you can choose to treat them with kindness and integrity. You cannot prevent an economic downturn, but you can make prudent decisions to manage your resources. You cannot stop aging or illness, but you can take care of your body and maintain a healthy perspective on life's impermanence. Mastering this principle requires practice. One effective exercise is to pause whenever you feel stressed or frustrated and ask yourself, is this within my control? If the answer is no, then let it go. If the answer is yes, focus on taking constructive action. Over time, this habit becomes second nature, enabling you to respond to challenges with wisdom instead of reacting with fear or anger. The beauty of this principle is its simplicity. You don't need to control the world to find peace. All you need to do is master your own mind and actions. By focusing on what you can influence and releasing what you cannot, you create a sense of freedom and empowerment that no external force can take away. The Stoics were not naive. They knew life could be unpredictable and harsh, but they also knew that true strength lies in how you respond to life, not in life itself. When you embrace the dichotomy of control, you become like the calm eye in the center of the storm, steady, focused, and invincible. Comfort is a double-edged sword. On the one hand, it can bring ease and enjoyment to our lives. On the other, it can make us complacent, fragile, and unprepared for the inevitable difficulties that life throws our way. The Stoics understood this paradox deeply. They believed that true resilience is built not in times of comfort, but through intentional exposure to discomfort. This is why the practice of voluntary discomfort is central to Stoic philosophy. Voluntary discomfort is the deliberate act of stepping out of your comfort zone to strengthen your mind and body. It involves doing things that are challenging, uncomfortable, or even slightly unpleasant, not for the sake of suffering, but to prepare yourself for the unexpected hardships of life. The idea is simple. By willingly enduring small, controlled difficulties, you train yourself to face real adversities with courage and composure. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, advocated for this practice. He wrote about the importance of occasionally living as if you had less than you actually do, wearing simple clothes, eating plain food, and sleeping on hard surfaces. These acts serve a dual purpose. First, they make you appreciate what you already have. Second, they teach you that you can survive, even thrive, without the luxuries you've come to rely on. By simulating deprivation, you realize that the worst-case scenario is rarely as terrifying as your imagination makes it out to be. Imagine, for example, someone who regularly practices fasting. By choosing to go without food for a set period, they discover that hunger, while uncomfortable, is not unbearable. This understanding not only builds physical discipline, but also fosters psychological resilience. If they ever face a situation where food is scarce, they will handle it far better than someone who has never known hunger. The same principle applies to other forms of voluntary discomfort, such as enduring the cold, exercising intensely, or giving up conveniences like social media or entertainment for a time. But voluntary discomfort isn't just about preparing for physical challenges. It's also a mental exercise in self-mastery. When you choose to face discomfort willingly, you strengthen your ability to endure hardship without panic or despair. You learn to control your impulses, delay gratification, and remain calm in situations that might overwhelm others. This mental toughness becomes a valuable asset, allowing you to tackle life's obstacles with grace and determination. The practice also reshapes your relationship with fear. Many of our fears stem from the unknown, the fear of losing a job, facing financial insecurity, or being rejected. By deliberately simulating discomfort, you confront these fears head-on and discover that they are not as insurmountable as they seem. This makes you less likely to be paralyzed by fear when real challenges arise. Consider starting small. You might take a cold shower, walk instead of driving, or sleep without a pillow for a night. The specific action doesn't matter as much as the mindset. You are choosing to embrace discomfort for your own growth. Over time, as you become more comfortable with discomfort, you can take on bigger challenges. Voluntary discomfort isn't about self-punishment or proving toughness. It's about cultivating resilience, gratitude, and perspective. When you face hardships that are within your control, you develop the strength to face those that are not. You also gain a deeper appreciation for the comforts you do have, recognizing them as blessings rather than entitlements. The world we live in today is more comfortable than at any other time in human history, yet this comfort often leaves us vulnerable to even minor inconveniences. The Stoics remind us that true strength comes from within, and that strength must be cultivated. By practicing voluntary discomfort, you forge a mindset that is unshaken by adversity, enabling you to meet life's challenges with a calm, invincible spirit. Death is a topic that most people avoid, fearing its inevitability and finality. But the Stoics approached death differently. They believed that by confronting and accepting the reality of our mortality, we could live more fully, with greater clarity and purpose. This principle, known as memento mori, remember you will die, is not meant to be morbid or depressing. Instead, it serves as a powerful reminder of life's impermanence and the urgency to live meaningfully. The Stoics saw death as the ultimate equalizer. No matter how wealthy, powerful, or talented you are, death comes for everyone. Rather than allowing this fact to fill them with dread, they used it as motivation to focus on what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, often reflected on his mortality, writing, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do, say, and think." For the Stoics, remembering death was not about fearing it, but using it as a compass for life. When you truly internalize the fact that your time is finite, everything changes. The trivial worries and distractions that often consume your days begin to lose their grip. You start to see what is worth your energy and what is not. Petty arguments, grudges, and material obsessions fade in significance. Instead, you become more focused on cultivating relationships, pursuing personal growth, and contributing to something greater than yourself. Memento mori also helps you face fear. Much of our anxiety comes from avoiding thoughts of the inevitable. By contemplating death, you strip it of its power over you. Instead of running from the idea, you embrace it as a natural part of life. The Stoics remind us that death is not something to be feared, but something to be understood. After all, it is not death itself that troubles us, but our perception of it. When you see death as a part of nature, no different than the changing of seasons or the setting of the sun, you learn to live with greater peace. This principle also teaches us gratitude. The knowledge that every moment is fleeting makes it precious. When you remind yourself that today could be your last, you stop taking things for granted. You savor the small joys. A conversation with a friend, the warmth of the sun, the beauty of a sunset, because you understand that these moments will not last forever. Memento mori is not just about appreciating life. It's also about preparing for death. The Stoics believed in living a life of virtue, so that when the end comes, you can face it without regret. By aligning your actions with your values and focusing on what you can control, you ensure that your life has meaning, regardless of its length. You can incorporate memento mori into your life in practical ways. Some Stoics kept a physical reminder of death, such as a skull or an inscription, to keep this principle at the forefront of their minds. You don't need a skull on your desk, but you might take a moment each day to reflect. If today were my last day, how would I want to live it? This simple question can guide your choices and actions, helping you live with intention and purpose. Another practice is to reflect on the impermanence of the people and things around you. Consider your loved ones, your possessions, and even your achievements. They, too, are temporary. While this might seem unsettling at first, it can deepen your appreciation for them. Knowing that you will not have them forever makes them all the more valuable. The Stoics did not see death as an end, but as a reminder to live fully and wisely. When you embrace memento mori, you stop sleepwalking through life. You become more present, more courageous, and more focused on what truly matters. Death is not the enemy, it is a teacher reminding us that our time is limited and that we must use it well. Life is full of unexpected twists and turns, many of which we would never choose for ourselves. Challenges arise, plans unravel, and circumstances often seem unfair. In such moments, it's easy to feel frustrated, bitter, or defeated, but the Stoics offer a transformative mindset to help us navigate these difficulties. Amor fati, love your fate. To accept your fate is one thing, to love it is another. Amor fati goes beyond mere resignation. It is an active embrace of everything that happens, whether good or bad. It is the understanding that every event in life, no matter how challenging or painful, is a necessary part of your journey. When you adopt this perspective, you stop resisting reality and start working with it. Instead of asking, "Why did this happen to me?" you ask, "How can this serve me?" The Stoic philosopher Epictetus reminds us, don't seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather, want them to happen the way they do happen, and you will have peace. This doesn't mean passively accepting injustice or becoming complacent in the face of hardship. It means recognizing that life unfolds according to its own rules, not ours. Fighting against reality only creates unnecessary suffering. Amor fati is a mindset of radical acceptance, but it is also a mindset of empowerment. When you love your fate, you see every experience as an opportunity for growth. A failure becomes a lesson in resilience. A betrayal becomes a chance to practice forgiveness. A loss becomes a reminder of life's impermanence and the value of gratitude. Each challenge, no matter how unwelcome at first, is reframed as a gift, a tool for becoming stronger, wiser, and more virtuous. This principle is not just philosophical, it is deeply practical. Consider someone who loses their job. At first, this might seem like a disaster, but with an amor fati mindset, they could choose to see it as an opportunity to pursue a new career, learn new skills, or reevaluate their priorities. By loving their fate, they turn a setback into a stepping stone. The same applies to smaller, everyday annoyances. Imagine getting stuck in traffic on your way to an important meeting. You could stew in anger, blaming the universe for ruining your day. Or you could embrace the moment as it is, using the extra time to listen to a podcast, practice deep breathing, or reflect on something you're grateful for. Loving your fate transforms even mundane frustrations into opportunities for patience and mindfulness. But what about truly tragic events, loss, illness, or betrayal? Even in these situations, Amor fati offers a path forward. It doesn't ask you to deny your pain or pretend everything is fine. Instead, it encourages you to accept what has happened and seek meaning within it. By loving your fate, you acknowledge that life's difficulties are not obstacles to your growth, but essential parts of it. As Friedrich Nietzsche, a philosopher influenced by Stoicism, said, "That which does not kill us makes us stronger." One way to cultivate amor fati is to practice gratitude for the challenges you've already overcome. Reflect on a time in your life when something didn't go as planned, but ultimately led to growth or a positive outcome. This can help you build trust in the process of life, even when the path ahead seems uncertain. Another practice is to consciously reframe negative experiences as opportunities. When something goes wrong, pause and ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this help me grow? Over time, This habit will help you see every event, no matter how difficult, as part of the larger picture of your life's journey. Amor fati doesn't mean you have to enjoy every hardship or pretend that suffering isn't painful. It simply means choosing to see every moment as necessary and valuable. When you learn to love your fate, you stop being a victim of circumstances and become the architect of your own perspective. You turn life's trials into treasures, and in doing so, you cultivate a sense of peace and invincibility that no external event can take away. The Stoics believed that the ultimate goal of life is not the pursuit of wealth, pleasure, or status, but the cultivation of virtue. Virtue, in their philosophy, is the highest good, the only thing that truly matters in the grand scheme of things. Everything else, they argued, is secondary and ultimately indifferent. While external circumstances may influence your life, they do not define your character. Virtue is what gives your life meaning and purpose, and it is entirely within your control. For the Stoics, virtue was not some abstract or lofty ideal. It was grounded in 4 practical qualities: wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline. These are the guiding principles that enable us to live in harmony with ourselves, others, and the world around us. To the Stoics, living virtuously was synonymous with living well, because it aligned one's actions with the highest expression of human nature. Wisdom is the ability to see things as they truly are, to make sound decisions, and to differentiate between what is within your control and what is not. It is the compass that guides all other virtues. Without wisdom, we are prone to making choices based on impulse, ignorance, or fear. To act wisely is to act in accordance with reason and truth, even when it is difficult. Courage is the strength to face challenges, dangers, and fears without retreating. Life is filled with uncertainty and adversity, and courage is what allows us to navigate these obstacles with dignity and resilience. Courage doesn't mean the absence of fear, it means acting in spite of it, guided by your values rather than your anxieties. For the Stoics, courage was not reserved for grand heroic acts. It could be found in everyday choices such as speaking the truth, standing up for what is right, or persisting in the face of failure. Justice is the virtue of treating others fairly and living with integrity. It means recognizing that we are all interconnected and that our actions have a ripple effect on the lives of others. Justice requires us to act with compassion, fairness, and a sense of responsibility toward our fellow human beings. For the Stoics, living justly was not optional. It was a fundamental part of being a good person and contributing to the common good. Self-discipline is the ability to govern yourself, to control your desires, and to act in alignment with your principles rather than your impulses. In a world filled with distractions and temptations, self-discipline is the anchor that keeps us steady. It allows us to prioritize long-term goals over short-term pleasures and to remain steadfast in the face of difficulty or temptation. To the Stoics, self-discipline was the foundation of a virtuous life, because without it we are slaves to our desires and emotions. The Stoics believed that no external achievement, wealth, fame, power, or comfort could substitute for the fulfillment that comes from living virtuously. External goods are fleeting and unreliable. They can be taken away in an instant. Virtue, on the other hand, is enduring. It is the one thing that remains within your control, no matter what life throws at you. Even in the worst circumstances, you can choose to act with wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline. This focus on virtue does not mean that the Stoics dismissed external things entirely. They acknowledged that wealth, health, and relationships could be preferred or beneficial. However, They saw these things as indifferent. They could be used for good or ill, depending on how they aligned with virtue. For example, wealth can be a tool for generosity or a source of greed. Health can be a blessing or a distraction. What matters is not the possession of these things, but how you use them. Living a virtuous life requires constant effort and self-reflection. It means asking yourself in every situation, am I acting wisely? Am I showing courage? Am I treating others justly? Am I exercising self-discipline? These questions are the foundation of a Stoic life, and they serve as a compass to guide you toward what truly matters. When you prioritize virtue, you free yourself from the constant chase for external validation and fleeting pleasures. You discover a sense of inner peace and fulfillment that no one can take away from you. Virtue becomes your anchor, your guide, and your source of strength. It transforms how you see the world and how you navigate life's challenges. For the Stoics, this is the essence of what it means to live a good life, a life of purpose, integrity, and true freedom. Life is filled with obstacles, unexpected setbacks, difficult situations, and challenges that can feel insurmountable. For many, these moments are sources of frustration and despair. But the Stoics believe that every problem is, in fact, an opportunity in disguise. This mindset, often referred to as the obstacle is the way, is one of the most empowering principles of Stoicism. It teaches us that obstacles are not roadblocks, but stepping stones for growth and self-mastery. Marcus Aurelius, one of Stoicism's most influential figures, encapsulated this idea beautifully when he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the very thing that seems to hinder you contains the key to your progress. When you learn to see problems as opportunities, you transform the way you approach life's difficulties. Instead of avoiding challenges or feeling defeated by them, you embrace them as chances to develop resilience, creativity, and strength. This perspective requires a shift in how we think about adversity. Problems are not inherently negative. They are neutral events shaped by our interpretation of them. For example, losing a job can be seen as a catastrophe or as an opportunity to explore a new career path, develop new skills, or rediscover your passions. A failed relationship might feel devastating, but it can also be a chance to reflect, grow, and learn what you truly want from a partnership. The Stoic mindset teaches us to reframe problems, asking not "why is this happening to me?" but "what can I gain from this experience?" Viewing problems as opportunities also challenges us to take ownership of our reactions. While we may not control the obstacles we face, we always control how we respond to them. This response is where our power lies. When confronted with difficulty, the Stoics urge us to focus on three key areas: perception, action, and will. Perception is how you choose to see the problem. Is it a dead end, or is it a puzzle to be solved? Is it a loss, or is it a chance to rebuild? By reframing your perspective, you change your experience of the problem itself. For example, if you encounter criticism at work, you could view it as a personal attack, or as valuable feedback to help you improve. Your perception shapes your reality, and by choosing a constructive lens, you empower yourself to act. Action is what you choose to do in response to the problem. The Stoics emphasize the importance of deliberate and purposeful action, even in the face of adversity. When obstacles arise, ask yourself, what is within my control? What can I do to move forward? This might mean breaking a problem into smaller, manageable steps or seeking help from others. What matters is not the size of the action, but the consistency of your effort. As the Stoics remind us, progress often comes not from grand gestures, but from steady, disciplined steps. Will is your inner strength, your ability to endure and persist. Some problems cannot be solved immediately or at all. In these cases, the Stoics teach us to cultivate patience, resilience, and acceptance. Will is what allows you to stay grounded and determined even when the road ahead is uncertain. It's the quiet confidence that comes from knowing you have the strength to face whatever life throws at you. This mindset is not about denying the pain or difficulty of problems. The Stoics acknowledged that adversity often brings discomfort, fear, and even grief. But they believed that within every challenge lies the potential for growth. A storm may be unpleasant, but it strengthens the tree that withstands it. Similarly, problems, no matter how painful, shape us into stronger, wiser, and more capable individuals if we allow them to. Practical exercises can help you apply this principle. The next time you face a problem, take a moment to write it down and ask yourself, what lesson can I learn from this? How can this challenge help me grow? What action can I take to move forward? This practice helps shift your mindset from victimhood to empowerment. Over time, this approach becomes second nature. You begin to see every difficulty not as a setback, but as a necessary part of your journey. Problems become opportunities to refine your character, strengthen your resolve, and practice the virtues of wisdom, courage, and patience. When you view problems as opportunities, you free yourself from the weight of frustration and defeat. You become more adaptable, resourceful, and resilient. Life's challenges no longer seem like barriers. They become your teachers, guiding you toward growth and transformation. This is the Stoic way, to turn obstacles into opportunities, and in doing so, to find strength, purpose, and peace. The human mind has a tendency to focus on what it doesn't have, to take what it does have for granted, and to constantly crave more. This mindset often leads to dissatisfaction and anxiety as we obsess over gaining things we lack or fear losing what we hold dear. The Stoics, however, had a profound antidote to this tendency: negative visualization. By deliberately imagining the loss of what we value most, we not only prepare ourselves for life's uncertainties, but also cultivate a deep sense of gratitude for what we have in the present. Negative visualization is the practice of mentally rehearsing worst-case scenarios. It involves imagining in vivid detail the loss of things or people you cherish, your health, your job, your possessions, your freedom, or even your loved ones. At first glance, this might sound counterproductive or even depressing, but its purpose is not to dwell in fear or sorrow. Instead, it is a way to confront your fears, diminish their power, and appreciate the fragile beauty of your current circumstances. Seneca, one of the great Stoic philosophers, wrote, "He robs present ills of their power who has perceived their coming beforehand. By imagining potential losses, you strip them of their ability to surprise or overwhelm you." For instance, if you reflect on the possibility of losing your job, you begin to consider how you might adapt, save money, or develop new skills. If such a situation does arise, you are mentally prepared and less likely to be paralyzed by fear or despair. This practice trains your mind to respond to adversity with calm and rationality. Negative visualization is also a powerful tool for gratitude. When you imagine your life without the things or people you love, you are reminded of their true value. Think about how easily we take everyday blessings for granted. A warm home, good health, close relationships, or even the ability to enjoy a quiet morning. When you actively visualize what life would be like without these gifts, you are naturally inclined to cherish them more deeply. This gratitude brings contentment and joy to the present moment, counteracting the restless desire for more. The practice can be applied to all areas of life. For example, consider your possessions. Instead of fixating on what you don't own, take a moment to imagine losing the things you already have. What would your life be like without your home, your car, or even the clothes you wear? By doing this, You cultivate a sense of appreciation for these items, recognizing that they are not guaranteed, but gifts to be used and cared for. Similarly, this practice can deepen your relationships. Imagine life without the people you care about, a partner, a friend, or a family member. Reflect on what they bring to your life and how their presence enriches your days. This exercise not only strengthens your gratitude, but also encourages you to express your appreciation more openly, strengthening your bonds with those you love. Negative visualization can even help with personal fears. If you are afraid of public speaking, imagine the worst that could happen, stumbling over your words, forgetting your main points, or receiving a poor response. By confronting these fears in your mind, you demystify them and often find that they are not as catastrophic as they seemed. This makes it easier to face such challenges with confidence and perspective. The key to effective negative visualization is balance. The goal is not to dwell endlessly on worst-case scenarios or become consumed by fear. Instead, it is to briefly and intentionally reflect on these possibilities, using them as tools for preparation and gratitude. After imagining a loss or setback, shift your focus to the present and savor what you have. This combination of reflection and appreciation fosters a mindset of resilience and contentment. As you incorporate negative visualization into your life, you'll notice its transformative effects. Problems that once seemed daunting lose their edge as you've already rehearsed how to face them. The things you once took for granted become sources of joy as you realize their impermanence. And the fears that once held you back begin to dissipate, replaced by a quiet confidence in your ability to adapt and endure. Life is unpredictable and loss is an inevitable part of the human experience. But by practicing negative visualization, you can turn this reality into a source of strength and wisdom. You learn to prepare without panic, to appreciate without clinging, and to live fully in the present, knowing that nothing is permanent, but that everything is precious. The present moment is all we ever truly have. The past is unchangeable, and the future is uncertain. Yet, our minds are often trapped in regret over what has already happened or anxiety about what might come. The Stoics understood this human tendency and emphasized the importance of grounding ourselves in the present. By focusing on the now, we unlock the ability to live fully, make better decisions, and face life's challenges with clarity and calm. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, wrote, "Confine yourself to the present. You have been distracted by so many things, but just concentrate on the task in front of you, as if it is the last thing you're doing in your life." For the Stoics, being present was not just about mindfulness. It was about aligning your actions with purpose and virtue in the here and now. Worrying about the future or ruminating on the past serves no productive end. What matters is what you are doing at this moment. The Stoic focus on the present moment is rooted in practicality. When you give your full attention to the present, you are better equipped to respond to life's demands. Imagine a sailor navigating a storm. If they are preoccupied with the mistake they made hours ago or worrying about where the storm will lead, they will miss the immediate task of steering the ship. Similarly, when we focus on what is within our control right now, we become more effective and resilient. Being present also reduces unnecessary suffering. Much of our mental anguish comes not from actual events, but from our thoughts about them. We replay past conversations, imagining what we could have said differently, or we catastrophize about the future, picturing the worst possible outcomes. The Stoics remind us that these are mental projections, not reality. By anchoring yourself in the present, you free yourself from these self-imposed burdens. Focusing on the present does not mean ignoring the past or neglecting the future. Instead, it means learning from the past without being trapped by it and planning for the future without being consumed by it. Reflect on the past for its lessons, then let it go. Prepare for the future by taking purposeful actions today. The Stoics believed that the present moment is where life unfolds, and it is the only place where we have agency. Practicing presence requires conscious effort, especially in a world filled with distractions. Technology, work pressures, and social obligations constantly pull us away from the here and now. But the Stoics teach us that presence is a skill that can be cultivated through deliberate practice. Start by identifying moments when your mind begins to wander into the past or future. Pause, take a deep breath, and bring your attention back to the task at hand. Another useful exercise is to periodically remind yourself that this moment will never come again. Marcus Aurelius encouraged us to reflect. Do not act as if you were going to live 10,000 years. Death hangs over you. While you live, while it is in your power, be good. This reminder sharpens your focus and motivates you to act with purpose and integrity. Nature provides an excellent teacher for cultivating presence. Watch how a bird builds its nest or how a tree sways in the wind. These acts are done fully in the present, without concern for what came before or what might happen later. Similarly, we can learn to embrace each moment as it comes, giving it our full attention without judgment or distraction. Focusing on the present also fosters gratitude. When you are fully immersed in the now, you notice the small joys that often go overlooked: the warmth of the sun, the sound of laughter, the satisfaction of completing a task. These moments become sources of fulfillment when you stop rushing past them or taking them for granted. The Stoics understood that the present is not always easy. It can be painful, challenging, or mundane. But even in difficulty, there is value in staying present. By fully experiencing the moment, you build resilience and gain a clearer perspective. Avoiding the present only delays the inevitable and often makes the situation worse. When you focus on the present moment, you reclaim your power. You stop being a prisoner of the past or a victim of future worries. Instead, you become an active participant in your own life, shaping it moment by moment through your choices and actions. This is the essence of Stoic living: to be fully here, fully engaged, and fully aligned with your purpose. Adversity is an unavoidable part of life. No one escapes hardship, pain, or disappointment. However, the Stoics believed that within every difficulty lies a hidden opportunity for growth and understanding. Instead of seeing adversity as an obstacle to happiness, they saw it as one of life's greatest teachers. For the Stoics, every setback was a chance to gain wisdom, build resilience, and refine character. Epictetus, a former slave turned philosopher, famously said, "Difficulties are things that show a person what they are." He viewed adversity not as a curse, but as a test of one's inner strength and values. When faced with hardship, the Stoics did not ask, "Why me?" but instead, "What can I learn from this?" This shift in perspective transforms challenges into opportunities for growth, empowering you to face life's difficulties with courage and purpose. Wisdom from adversity begins with acceptance. The first step is to recognize that pain, failure, and loss are natural parts of the human experience. Resisting or denying these realities only amplifies suffering. The Stoics remind us that what happens is not as important as how we respond to it. By accepting adversity as an integral part of life, we free ourselves from the burden of wishing things were different and focus instead on what can be learned. Adversity also reveals the truth about ourselves. It strips away the superficial and exposes our values, priorities, and weaknesses. When everything is going well, it's easy to believe that we are strong, virtuous, and wise. But it is during times of difficulty that our true character is tested. Do we remain calm under pressure? Do we act with integrity even when it's inconvenient? Do we have the courage to persist in the face of failure? These moments of challenge are opportunities to confront our shortcomings and strive to become better. Consider the example of Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who faced constant political turmoil, personal loss, and the pressures of leading an empire. Despite these challenges, he consistently turned to Stoic principles to guide his actions. Instead of lamenting his hardships, he used them as opportunities to practice patience, humility, and wisdom. In his journal, he wrote, "The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing." Life, he recognized, is messy and demanding, but it is through this struggle that we grow. Adversity is also a training ground for resilience. Just as physical strength is built through resistance, mental and emotional strength are developed through challenges. Each difficulty you face, no matter how small, is an opportunity to practice perseverance and self-discipline. Over time, this practice builds a sense of inner fortitude that enables you to handle even greater challenges with grace. The Stoics believed that wisdom comes not only from enduring adversity, but from actively reflecting on it. After a setback or hardship, take time to ask yourself, what did I learn from this experience? How did it shape me? What strengths did I uncover that I didn't know I had? This process of reflection turns adversity into a source of insight, allowing you to grow wiser with each challenge. It's important to remember that seeking wisdom from adversity does not mean ignoring pain or pretending that everything is fine. The Stoics acknowledged the reality of suffering and did not shy away from it. However, they believed that even in the midst of pain, there is an opportunity for growth. Whether it's learning patience in the face of frustration, practicing courage in the face of fear, or finding gratitude in the midst of loss, adversity can teach us valuable lessons if we are open to them. One practical exercise to adopt this principle is to keep a journal of your challenges and the lessons they teach you. Each time you encounter a difficult situation, write down how you handled it, what you learned, and what you could do differently next time. Over time, this practice helps you see patterns of growth and reinforces the idea that adversity is not a hindrance, but a tool for self-improvement. Another practice is to reframe your perspective on hardship in real time. When faced with a challenge, pause and ask yourself, what is this moment teaching me? How can I use this experience to become stronger or wiser? This shift in mindset transforms adversity from something to be feared into something to be embraced. Adversity is not something we would willingly choose, but it is something we can benefit from. The Stoics remind us that life's difficulties are not meaningless. They are opportunities to cultivate virtue, develop resilience, and gain wisdom. When you learn to see challenges as teachers rather than threats, you unlock a profound sense of empowerment. You realize that no matter what happens, you have the ability to grow, adapt, and emerge stronger. This is the gift of adversity, and it is one of life's most valuable lessons. Your mind is your most powerful tool and your ultimate sanctuary. The Stoics believe that the quality of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. While you cannot control external events, you have complete authority over how you perceive and interpret them. To live wisely and resiliently, you must become a vigilant guardian of your mind, protecting it from harmful thoughts and nurturing it with reason, clarity, and virtue. Epictetus captured this idea when he said, "It is not things that upset us, but our judgments about things." The Stoics understood that it is not external circumstances, but our thoughts about those circumstances that determine our emotional state. A rainy day is not inherently bad. It becomes unpleasant only if you judge it to be so. Similarly, criticism, failure, or loss only cause suffering if you allow them to dominate your thinking. By guarding your mind, you regain control over your inner world, no matter what happens externally. Guarding your mind begins with self-awareness. Pay attention to your thoughts and recognize when they are drifting into negativity, irrationality, or self-doubt. These unguarded moments are when your mind is most vulnerable to being hijacked by fear, anger, or despair. Instead of letting these thoughts spiral, pause and challenge them. Ask yourself, is this thought true? Is it helpful? Is it within my control? Often you'll find that your worries and assumptions are exaggerated or entirely baseless. Another key to protecting your mind is to cultivate rational thinking. The Stoics emphasized the importance of aligning your thoughts with reason rather than emotion. When faced with a problem, approach it logically rather than reactively. Break it down into manageable parts, focus on what is within your control, and act accordingly. Rational thinking keeps you grounded and prevents you from being overwhelmed by the chaos of life. Your mind also needs to be fortified against external influences. In today's world, we are constantly bombarded with information, opinions, and distractions that can cloud our judgment and lead us astray. Social media, sensational news, and other external pressures often encourage comparison, fear, and negativity. The Stoics remind us to filter what we allow into our minds. Be selective about the information you consume and the people you surround yourself with. Choose inputs that inspire, educate, and uplift, rather than those that sow doubt or despair. Practicing gratitude is another powerful way to guard your mind. Gratitude shifts your focus from what you lack to what you have, replacing dissatisfaction with contentment. When you consciously reflect on the blessings in your life, you create a mental shield against envy, resentment, and anxiety. The Stoics encourage daily gratitude as a way to anchor the mind in positivity and perspective. Another crucial aspect of guarding your mind is training it to withstand challenges. Just as the body grows stronger through physical exercise, the mind becomes more resilient through mental discipline. Practices like mindfulness, meditation, and journaling help you build the habit of observing your thoughts without being controlled by them. When you train your mind to focus and stay present, it becomes less susceptible to distractions and emotional upheaval. The Stoics also stressed the importance of focusing on virtue. Fill your mind with thoughts and actions that align with wisdom, courage, justice, and self-discipline. By directing your mental energy toward living a virtuous life, you create a foundation of inner strength that is unshakable in the face of external events. Being a guardian of your mind also means letting go of what doesn't serve you. This includes grudges, regrets, and unrealistic expectations. Holding on to these thoughts only weighs you down and keeps you stuck in the past or anxious about the future. The Stoics remind us to release these burdens, freeing the mind to focus on what truly matters, the present moment, and the choices you can make now. Guarding your mind is not about suppressing emotions or avoiding reality. It's about cultivating a mindset that empowers you to respond to life with clarity and purpose. It's about recognizing that while you cannot control what happens around you, you can always control how you think about it. This mastery over your mind is the essence of freedom, and it is the key to living a life of peace, resilience, and virtue. When you take ownership of your thoughts, you take ownership of your life. You become unshakable, not because life is easy, but because your mind is strong. This is the ultimate goal of Stoicism: to guard your mind so that it remains a place of strength, wisdom, and serenity no matter what the world brings. You have now embarked on a journey through the timeless wisdom of Stoicism, exploring 10 powerful principles designed to make you resilient, focused, and unshakable in the face of life's challenges. But remember, Stoicism is not just a philosophy to be studied. It is a way of life to be practiced every single day. Each principle we've discussed, whether it's focusing on what you can control, practicing voluntary discomfort, embracing your mortality, or reframing obstacles as opportunities, is a tool for transforming how you approach the world. When you put these principles into practice, you don't just endure life, you thrive in it. Stoicism teaches us that true strength comes from within. It's not about controlling external events, avoiding hardship, or suppressing emotions. Instead, it's about cultivating a mindset that empowers you to face whatever life throws at you with courage, wisdom, and purpose. The Stoics remind us that our thoughts shape our reality. By mastering our minds, we can master our lives. Imagine a life where fear no longer controls you, where setbacks no longer derail you, and where every moment is an opportunity to live in alignment with your values. This is the life Stoicism offers, a life of clarity, gratitude, and resilience. You don't need to wait for perfect circumstances to begin. Stoicism reminds us that the time to act is always now. The power to change your perspective, to grow from challenges, and to cultivate inner peace lies within you at this very moment. As you reflect on these 10 principles, remember that mastery takes time. You don't need to implement everything at once. Start with one idea, perhaps focusing on the present moment or practicing amor fati, and integrate it into your daily routine. As you build these habits, you'll notice a shift in how you perceive and respond to the world. What once seemed overwhelming will feel manageable. What once felt like an obstacle will reveal itself as a hidden opportunity. Stoicism is not a path to a perfect life free from pain or difficulty. Instead, it is a guide to living a meaningful and virtuous life, no matter the circumstances. Challenges and hardships will still arise. That is the nature of existence. But with Stoicism as your foundation, you will have the tools to face them with grace and strength. You will find that life's storms no longer shake you. Instead, they shape you into someone wiser, stronger, and more capable. This is the gift of Stoicism, the ability to navigate life with a sense of purpose, resilience, and inner peace. It's a philosophy that has stood the test of time, guiding emperors, soldiers, philosophers, and ordinary people through the trials of life. And now it's your turn to carry this wisdom forward. As you continue your Stoic journey, remember to be patient with yourself. Growth is a process, not an instant transformation. Celebrate the small victories, choosing patience instead of anger, gratitude instead of complaint, or courage instead of fear. Each of these choices brings you closer to becoming the person you aspire to be. Before you go, I encourage you to make this a conversation. Share what you've learned with others. Discuss these principles with your friends, family, or community. Teaching and sharing Stoic wisdom not only helps others, but also deepens your own understanding and commitment to the practice. And of course, if you found value in this exploration of Stoicism, I invite you to take a moment to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. By doing so, you not only support this content, but also help spread these timeless teachings to others who might benefit from them. Together, we can create a community of people striving to live with purpose, resilience, and virtue. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the heart of Stoicism. May these principles guide you, strengthen you, and inspire you to live a life of meaning and fulfillment. Remember, the path of the Stoic is not an easy one, but it is the path to true freedom, peace, and invincibility. Until next time, stay strong, stay present, and keep practicing. The best is yet to come.